Hello, my name's Matt. I work for a independent music publisher in the UK called Wipeout Music, and I am here to tell you a little bit about what music publishing is and what a music publisher could do for you. So, music publishing, it concerns the songwriting copyright or the composition copyright of a song. So with every song that you'll hear anywhere on the radio, there's usually two different copyrights to that one song. There is the master copyright, which is usually owned by a record label, and that the master rights, it's basically the recording of the song. The other side of the song's copyright is the publishing copyright, so that's the songwriting and the composition of a song. Now, whenever a song is broadcast publicly, so that could be like played live at a gig or a festival, or broadcast on the radio or on TV or in film, whenever that happens, there's a royalty due to the songwriter, the person who wrote the song. So what a music publisher will do is basically they'll audit all of the royalties that come through for that artist and make sure that there's nothing missing, whether that's, radio play royalties may be missing, or gig or festival royalties may not come through for whatever reason. It's usually the music publisher's duty to go and chase down those royalties for the songwriter. Another aspect of what a music publisher will do is try to generate revenue for the songwriting copyright through licensing the song to, TV, film, advertising. So usually a music publisher will have a team of people that basically their job's to find usage for any of the catalogue that they represent. You do this in a few ways, but generally it's much the same as kind of radio plugging, I suppose, in a way. They'll have a list of contacts of music supervisors who'll, they'll be in contact with them regularly, making sure that they can get the right music to the right music supervisors, for the right projects, depending on what the music supervisor's working on. Some music supervisors will just kind of specialize in one area, whether that's like, they only do film, or some of them only do TV or Netflix shows. Some of them will only work on advertising, and some of them will just work on, bits and pieces of everything. So it's up to the music publisher to get the music out to those people, and then hopefully, something will come from it. It's quite difficult, sync and licensing. It's any music publisher that tells you that, unless you're Beyonce or someone like that, anyone who tells you, oh, we could definitely get you sync for your music and definitely get you licensing income, unless you're a really, really well-known artist, it is difficult, but it's not impossible. So, music publishers shouldn't say, yeah, we can definitely land you something, because it's really, really competitive, but you do need a dedicated music publisher, to be in with a shout, usually to land, or to have any sync success. The types of deals that are available for artists, a fair deal, usually it splits 75% to 25% in favour of the artist, so the publisher will take 25%. There are other, it's a sliding thing, but 75% tends to be in the ballpark figure of what a fair deal is for the artist in terms of publishing. I would say, unless there are vast sums of money involved. Try to keep the term of the deal quite short, so anywhere from 1 year through to 5 year. Obviously, the more you expect from a publisher in terms of like an advance, which is basically a sum of money given to the artist usually prior to the release of a record, that the publisher then hopes to recoup either through sync and licensing, or through radio, or through like live gig activity, so all of the royalties I talked about earlier on. So a publisher, if you're expecting an advance from a publisher, a sensible publisher would basically look at your release campaign, and also they would look at the worth of your back catalogue as well. So if you've got a lot of albums that have been successful and still continue to be played on the radio, that can be valuable for a music publisher as well. So they would look at all of that and go, okay, well, we think we can give you an advance of whatever it is. But what's worth noting about an advance is that it is just that. The music publisher will then look to recoup that money, and the artist doesn't receive any income from licensing or from the publisher's share of the royalty income until it's been recouped. So generally my advice on advancing is that if you don't feel like you need that money, if that money isn't going to progress your career in any way, so say, maybe your record label has paid for a lot of the promo stuff, or for music videos or whatever, and there's no part of the campaign that's lacking in funding, I would kind of suggest just leave advances to one side, and just straight away you're already generating income from your publishing, without needing to recoup on an advance. But advances can be handy if you want to hire a radio plugger, but you don't have the money to be able to do that. You can go to a publisher and say, this is how we'd be looking to spend that money, and that's usually quite a healthy way of having that conversation as well, I think, because occasionally you do get artists that come along expecting like a huge advance for an album, and it's really early days in their career, and certainly from our perspective, from Wipeout's perspective, we're quite a small independent company, so we have to be really, really sensible with the kind of the money that we advance, but we do advance some artists, but each advance that you give out is a risk, basically. What else to expect from a publishing deal? One thing that I would look out for if you're in discussions with a music publisher is try to gauge kind of how invested the music publisher will be with your music, both prior to release and post-release as well. Some publishers have really, really big catalogues with really, really huge artists on there. Now, on paper, that might look like a really attractive prospect for a musician, to be on the same music publishing company as, I don't know, really big act, Royal Blood or whoever. But obviously, if you're just starting out in your career, you're not all that well known, you are very, very unlikely to be a priority to that music publisher. And what can happen sometimes, it's a kind of old adage of being a small fish in a big pond. That can happen. So yeah, just try to, when you're having a conversation with a music publisher, in the first instance, try to feel out, see how engaged they are with your music, and how passionate they are about pushing your music. What else to expect? Yeah, I mean, that's it really. You just, I think you just need to know that the music publisher or the team at the music publishing company are pushing your music into the right avenues. Like I said before, licensing and sync licensing, it's a really, really competitive field. You know, every label, every musician, every music publisher is fighting to get their music used in TV and film and advertising. But you've just got to know that there is someone there kind of fighting your corner, and they are pitching you music when the appropriate opportunities arrive. And that's that, I think. I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. I hope that's helped you understand a little bit more about music publishing and what a music publisher does. Cheers.